I know we're all eager to see this broken down and reviewed, but let's move on to the good stuff first. Chapo here brings in our first 101 point victory of Season 2. That's 65 points for winning the race, 36 points for the top for being at the top of the clean rank ladder. So mad props, our first 101 points here at Road 101, race 7 of Season 2 at Phoenix. And 8 cars tied for the top 3 points of that clean rank ladder. We got 3 cars tied for first, 3 cars tied for second, and 2 cars tied for third place. That's outstanding. We got over 1,100 laps with just 60 incidents for a total of almost 20 laps per incident on the collective for the group. I'm just beyond impressed. Here's me finishing the race on fumes with Marlon almost tracking me down for the position there. Great race. Our first 1 point reckless here. Just want to point out how important it is to get on those brakes, so that because it's not up to the car who spun out to get out of traffic's way. It's the responsibility of the car who spun out to stop the car and provide as little questionable input for the traffic. It's traffic's responsibility to not hit you. That becomes dramatically easier when the cars come to a stop and is not randomly going to go left or going to go right. There's an interesting view here. And I could talk and throw suggestions on how to do it and whatnot, or try to make the point stronger, but I think this view says it all. The driver trying to decide which way to go. Reckless 1 point number 2. A little bit of a loss of control. Almost an egregious error there, backing up into traffic, but checked up just in time. Our third reckless 1 pointer. Just we've got a washout. Just unfortunate because it's just a washout that just got worse and worse and worse with just with a prolonged attempt to save. Then the dirt came up. Sorry to see that. Now, that's right. That's all that showed up for the incident search feature on iRacing. Aside from the piece de resistance here on lap 1, turn 1, after our pace car gets off, which we're about to take a nice deep close look at. Here was my first view. Psych, not yet. Oh, the anticipation. We actually have our first use of the request for review form, and so we're gonna see a look right here. We have a washout through mid corner here at the hairpin. What's important here for us to note is that where I started this here with that spin out, that provided this strong run. That closing speed is really high. So this is a proper move. The right idea, it's that right idea, poor execution. My suggestion is just more practice of those off optimal racing lines and off optimal braking points. There's no harm here. There is for it to be a bomb or a punt, there would require contact, but we do have a mild error in braking point judgment. But the move was proper. The thought was proper there because that run was so extreme. It would have been not very racy for anybody to fall in behind and go single file through the hairpin. So no penalties there. But but suggestion for more practice on those off optimal race lines. All right, and one more from the request for review form. We have a squeeze, or request for a squeeze review. Right there, it looks a little sketchy there on that angle for sure. Well, let's look deeper. So we have the run there while our front car is recovering, and we have presentation at the very latest here. This is the very latest presentation. We've got a coat of paint right in here, and I want to, there we go. At that coat of paint we're already committed, and we're already committed to our turn in for the apex here. And then we have what is at that point of the apex is would not be enough room to be to fit the safe racing room requirements there, but we also aren't actually in a side-by-side. We had the way I sum this up is at the front left room after the presentation acquired after the turn-in commitment, and the front left room for the overtaker to back out of a late move. So no penalties are good. I'm seeing good judgment here on both cars, because there's a little bit of caution from the front car to not just throw it at the apex, despite the presentation coming at a late point. They may not have even heard anything from their spotter. I really don't know at that point. So worthy to take a look at this, because that run was almost enough to get in there and become the owner of that apex. It wasn't quite enough. So I think judgment was shared. Both drivers displayed good judgment here at that recognition of it being an iffy, cautious situation. We got our overtaker backed out, and our front car left a little bit of room, which was just enough for that back out to take place effectively. Now coming up here, well, Athon and myself are training past Mr. Harris. I'm not happy with my use of the chat here. The
Wake up,
all
James.
teams. There I am, screaming, "Wake up, James!" Because here he's in a battle with the car. There's let's see, there's Tom and myself in a battle for position, and then there's Harris and Tyler for position. But the two pairs are on different laps. And I used voice because James is on that defensive line coming into the hairpin here, which would have forced us wide, and I still ended up not getting the apex there because I was still afraid if he was going to be on the inside there or not. But that's my own awareness and whatnot. I'm not comfortable with my use of the voice here. I think it's about as close as we can get without getting to throwing 1-point penalties for foul language or misuse of the chat, because it's about as close as I think anybody can get to like a hand signal or honking the horn or flashing the lights, those things that we don't have in the simulation, and even with just this car, like some cars have flashing lights and things go like, "I'm here," so that I'm uncomfortable with, and I'm better off now that I've seen it than what I have up to getting to the review, because I was afraid that my use there was wholly inappropriate. But I do feel that it's not as bad as I was thinking it was going to be. So let's get back here to the start. Lap 1, turn 1. There's our race winner Chapeau coming into turn 1. And then the Calamity behind. I think this here actually gives a good view of that first initial, that washout there by Jeff that causes the front side to rear side contact, which falls in our punt definition. It's very light contact, but the nature of this corner causes it to be, unfortunately, quite ugly. To be clear, it's not exactly a washout due to the nature of this corner, but it is a zero presentation late move. Presentation gained past the turn-in commitment here. So he's fully committed to holding this out. Whoa, bad buttons. There's not like an additional turn-in after the presentation is there, and even still at the very late move aspect of it. I just can't find. I can only find blame here on Jeff. If he'd have held tighter inside there, closer on Chapo's line, then it would be different. Arguably different outcome here. I have a feeling Tom's kicking himself too, because there's that poor start that kind of kicks things off and makes this turn one get a little bit more dicey than I think anyone wanted to be. And there's our collection slam, which on inspection is far from a slam. My initial view had an engine revving, and I thought it was this car here, but it was picked up by from the camera position of another car taking an avoidance going around and cutting the track to the right. There was no aggression thrown here. He was looking left and going left. This here is our first application of the brakes through this calamity, which takes us back to the beginning of this. It's so important to know, because it's not the spinner's responsibility to get out of everybody's way. It's their responsibility to bring the car to its quickest and final conclusion. But we have a very, very late and ineffective use of the brakes in that situation, both cars involved, Jeff and Tom here. Keep going, and that's me. I had made my choice based on the speed of the car when I was coming through the first apex there, that I was supposed to be right where the car is, right where Tom is right now. But getting off the brakes and putting it right where I wanted to go forced me all the way off and into the gravel and around. No brakes, never any brakes. Got a collection right here. And from an unavoidable contact right there into the rear. Or the blue into the Jeff. Digby into Jeff. Still no brakes. Just never at any point both of these guys went. And I kind of get it. It's like, oh shit, we're right at the apex of 1 and 2 here, where let's just ride it out, because there's a whole line of traffic where everybody behind has split left and is split right and is braked, and then it's like then it's a guessing game of where they're gonna go. Ultimately, in every case of any spin, any case, just get on the brakes and bring the car to its quickest and ultimate conclusion, because it's not your responsibility to get out of people's way. It's your responsibility to just get it resolved, stopped. Everybody else got to do the avoiding. So we're looking at we have a punt, which is a major. We have an unavoidable collection, which is a minor, and then there's an avoidable collection, which does result in a race-ending damage, which clearly has some shared responsibility there. As it all does instigate here with this moment of contact, this front side to rear side contact identified as a punt. I have Jeff carrying the brunt of the penalty point damage with a split on from the 3, the unavoidable, the avoidable, and the punt. I have an accumulation of 15 penalty points, which does invoke a disqualification. And then I've just got some shared points for Tom of 4 penalty points due to with an emergency on the brakes to bring a spinning car to a resolve in order to help that flow of traffic make their judgments be give them the best benefit for how they're going to make their judgment call on where to go. And to bring that car to a stop. And then because there was, I think, more could have been done by Rawl to avoid. He did. It's not that he didn't try. I think that there's still some shared responsibility that a little bit could have been done there. So I am including just 1 penalty point for Rawl, as he pretty much, I mean, he's the one who got the race-ending damage as well. But that broke down at how I got here. I got 11. Jeff 11 points plus 1 point plus 3 points, and then Tom 4 points. Rawl 1 point, and then we have the other 1 points. Vlad 1 point. Have Monraba 1 point, and Vlad 1 more point on those 3 solo recklesses that I covered earlier. I'm going to call this one the long form. I'll try to. You know me, I'm rambling, trying to figure this all out as I go, and there was a lot to take in and a lot to try to consider and try to pull it in right, and try to provide some helpful advice. And I had trouble with this one. That's really hard to on this, just the nature of this one accident right here. There's a lot going on and where to break down how it fits into the driving standards and what goes where. I'm trying to be fair and policing on that so that it's proper for all parties involved. But maybe I shouldn't overthink it, because that's where the assessment or the appeals process is. That we can then, if I just get this way off base, then that can be brought up and brought to in front of the incident review board, so we get more brains behind it there. But yeah, for this one, this being it's lap 1, turn 1, there's a greater responsibility for everybody in the early laps, and most importantly in turn 1. Now, I did not see this as an aggressive move. It's not like I really wanted to assign blame here to anybody. A lot of this was just racing. Racing and decisions and everything happening so fast on a worldwide scale in a simulation. I want to make it clear, I don't think anybody really did anything wrong. Bad things happened though, and from that there's always a spot for everybody to pick up and learn for how to gain from the experience and hopefully make less of these things in the future. All right, I'm gonna let's end it there. Practice smart, stay up.